Hi guys, welcome to episode 6 of the Arsenal Away podcast with Ashwin and I, Samrid. Um, for all you new folks who are joining us, we're two very passionate, die-hard Arsenal fans who making a humble attempt at trying to reach out to a broader audience, talk about the Arsenal, of course, and just sharing our views on this club that we all really passionately follow. On this episode, we're doing something different. We're not going to be talking about Emery. Not going to be talking about the current situation at Arsenal. We're going to be taking a slightly more bird's eye view, talking about teams of old. And for this episode, especially, Ashwin and I have both picked our favorite 11s. To continue getting more amazing Arsenal content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our Twitter and our YouTube channel. The handles and the names will be popping up anytime right now. So yeah, getting into it, Ashwin. This has probably been one of the more interesting discussions we've had. And honestly, I can I can name my 11 at the back of my mind. I remember when we spoke about this today evening. I pretty much had an 11 in my mind already. But yeah, I think this is going to be much more fun than what we generally talk about.
I think it's a great change for those people who are always watching us and seeing us
Yeah,
go at Emery and go at the team.
go at Emery.
Yeah, so this is something different for everybody. So just to
Yeah.
make it a little more interesting, let's start off not just by naming the 11, but let's do like what formation would you want to play. Let's also pick
Okay.
like five substitutes and who would you want as a manager of the team.
Works.
And let's not keep it to any years. Let's open it up to whichever year that you started watching Arsenal and whatever you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So let's start with your goalkeeper.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with playing a 4-4-2. Keep it traditional that way. Keeper, obviously, I cannot look past Lehmann because of just how he was. He was commanding in the box. He was complete clown, Mad Jens, as they used to call him. Mad Jens, commanding in his area, would voice his opinions on how the back four used to line up.
He was a character.
A leader complete character, leader in every sense of the word. I remember that penalty save against Villarreal en route to the Champions League final. And I remember, I think that was in my final year of college, and I was bricking it in that game. And when Riquelme stepped up to take that penalty, I was like, that's it, we're done.
I think how we managed to 89th or 90th minute also, the last minute penalty.
It was in the 89th, yeah, it was, I think, added time on 89th minute, and I was done. I was like, man, this is not happening. We're a step away, and he's done. And Riquelme stepping up. It was Riquelme of all the people.
And a funny story about this. Just before Riquelme took the penalty, Henry went up to Lehmann and told him to go the other way. And had Lehmann listened to Henry, we probably have been 1-1, and we probably lost that game because it looked like we were out of steam. And
I think we were done by then. You're right.
We were out of steam. Villarreal were on the up, and had they gone into extra time, I think they would probably beaten us and gone to the finals.
I think that was one of my most favorite memories of Lehmann. The second one, we were playing Chelsea away, and this was, I think, during the last few years of Lehmann. I think Lehmann had just gotten the ball from a cross that had been played back to him, and Drogba was standing right next to him. And there's some pushing and shoving happening, and I forget who went down first. It was Lehmann who went down first, and then Drogba followed. Drogba went down first, and Lehmann followed. Which pretty much just epitomized Jens' complete character. It was probably one of the most, looking back on it, it was hilarious. I'm sure there's YouTube videos of both of them going about that. But yeah, probably Lehmann would be my choice as keeper.
Great choice. Okay, moving on. Right back.
Right back, Lauren. I can't see past Lauren. We've not had very many good right backs. At least since I've started watching Arsenal. I forget. Was it Winterburn who used to play there before? Or was
Winterborn
it
left back.
Dixon? I forget. Winterburn left back.
Winterborn left back. So Dixon right back.
Yeah. Dixon. It was Dixon who used to play there. I don't remember when I'm watching very much of Dixon. I think by the time I had started watching, he was, I think, just in his final few legs of his Arsenal career. But Lauren, for me, he was. Looking back at it now, he wasn't as he wasn't as rugged as he is now, as he's portrayed on Twitter. He's just very calm, very gentle person, very gentle soul. But on the pitch, he was a monster.
Like if you want somebody to go to war with you, he was the guy.
Yeah, Lauren was the guy, man. He was mean. He had that nastiness about him. That game at Old Trafford when they all went after Van
Just popped in my head right now.
Lauren was right there, and I don't think I'll ever forget that. Van Nistelrooy. Van Persie too well, you know. But how they went after Van Nistelrooy, and I can't forget that snarl that he had on his face, man. What a guy.
What just popped in my head is him holding Van Nistelrooy over the back of his head.
Van Nistelrooy in the back of his head. Oh yeah, that was at Old Trafford. I remember that.
Good memories.
So yeah, Lauren there. Centre halves, I would go. I can't look past Sol Campbell.
Okay.
Campbell was.
So he's your left centre back, right centre back?
Good question. I haven't thought of it that way. I just pick him as a centre half.
Okay.
I think he was right-footed.
Yeah.
Right-footed though.
No, so he was right-footed, but he played predominantly on the left side.
Played predominantly on the left-hand side. Yeah. Campbell, I can't look past Campbell. Campbell, from just the fact that he joined from Spurs.
Yeah.
The fact that he won titles with us at White Hart Lane. He scored the goal in the Champions League final after being out for injury for the longest time.
Yeah.
And an absolute beast of a defender. Just his sheer size and his ability on the ball are two things that you don't really find in footballers. But he was commanding in the box. Just his presence. I remember vaguely him making runs from deep with the ball on the ground and him running and charging through.
Are you picturing the Portsmouth goal that he scored?
The Portsmouth goal. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. But Campbell, super defender. Partnering him, I'm sort of mixed on this one. I was torn between Adams and Toure, even though I've watched a lot more of Toure. But Adams just for his status as Mr. Arsenal.
Yeah.
As Mr. Arsenal, as Arsenal captain, as someone who represents what the club is about. For someone who has grown up through the years, through the decades, having been with 3 different managers, I'd pick him to partner with Sol Campbell. So all English centre half.
Fine, fair enough. What's your left back?
Left back, to date, I don't think there's been a better left back in the game. Ashley Cole.
Yeah, I don't think I can argue with that.
Ridiculously good left back. I remember, I think it was the 2008 Euros, or was it 2004 Euros? I forget. It was the England-Portugal game, and Cole had Ronaldo in his pocket that entire game. England went out on penalties, if I remember correctly. But I remember thinking to myself then that, and I very distinctly remember me thinking and saying out loud that Ronaldo, for all that he is, Cole has kept him in his pocket the entire game.
It's a shame though that we couldn't extend his deal and he has to move to Chelsea.
Yeah, we couldn't. And later on, I think what had come out then was it was for a measly £5,000 additional that he wanted, or something to some vague number like that. But I mean, he did end up winning the Champions League there, so I guess the move for him was justified. Yeah. But Ashley Cole, man, I mean, I don't think I've seen a better technically gifted fullback.
Yeah.
Who could run for days, who was great on the ball, who could cross the ball, who could end up in the final third to lay off a ball or score himself.
Big part of that left side of ours.
Super big part of that left side for us during the Invincibles.
Yeah.
Ashley Cole was superb defender. I don't think there's a defender or a fullback in today's day and age who can come close.
Let's hope Tierney gets there.
Let's hope Tierney gets there. Tierney is still young, still developing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tierney, fingers crossed for how it goes for him.
All right. So that was your back line. Let's move to midfield. So you're playing a 4-4-2. So let's start with maybe Sorry, go ahead.
I'll play out wide. So okay, in the center, I will have what was my pairing in a second? I will have Cesc and Vieira. Vieira playing slightly deeper.
Mm-hmm.
On the flanked by Lundberg and Perez.
Yeah.
I can't look past both of them making those runs. And with Cesc and Vieira both had the passing ability.
Mm-hmm.
Vieira had slightly more, had a bit more steel about him than Cesc, so he could play that holding midfielder role.
Complete box
and
to box,
Cesc for completely box to box midfielder who could play box to box, who could play as a CDM, who could just sit there, receive the ball from defense and play the ball long.
Mm-hmm.
And Cesc for just his brilliant ability, just natural footballing ability as someone who could create, someone who could play the short passes,
mm-hmm.
very clean game. And I'm imagining now having Cesc laying off the ball for someone like Perez or Lundberg to be at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Perez for just his style, man. I mean, that guy had swagger. He was brilliant. I don't remember us having a midfielder who could score 20 goals a season.
I was just going to say that.
Both he and Lundberg, Freddie, and I like the older reincarnation of Freddie with the red hair.
Pink hair, red hair.
The pink red hair that he used to have. I can't look past the both of them. Freddie, because Freddie was I think he used to get overlooked a little bit. I mean, he was a great footballer and a huge part of Arsenal's success later, but I think he used to not get as much as someone like a Perez or a Vieira used to get. The adulation.
But that's also because he played with world class players around him. Like Freddie, if peak Freddie played in an Arsenal team right now, he'd probably be worth 100 million.
Oh, no doubt. I think anyone for any of the older players currently would walk into any of the teams.
Yeah.
Which always surprised me, the fact that someone like an Henry never won the Ballon d'Or.
Mm-hmm.
He came second to Pavel Nedved that year.
Which was the most surprising thing.
Which was just daylight robbery.
It was. He won. He reached the Champions League final there. He reached the World Cup final that year. Was top scorer in Europe. Yeah. And how do you not give it to Thierry Henry?
How Henry didn't get it was.
He was always cheated off that. I felt they didn't recognize.
I mean, I think that's just been how. I think that's being part and parcel of both an Arsenal player and Arsenal fan, feeling that sense of injustice of not being done right by everyone else. I think that would be my midfield.
No, I think that year, was the year that he finished. He didn't even finish second. He finished third. It was Pavel Nedved, followed by Zidane, and Henry finished third, 2004, the year that they became invincible.
Really? Was Zidane? Yeah. Okay, I've been under the impression that he finished second.
The year he finished second, it was actually given to Fabio Cannavaro because he won the World Cup. Fabio Cannavaro.
That was 2006.
2006. That was 2006 World Cup. That Fabio Cannavaro won the World Cup, and that was the year Henry reached the Champions League final and reached the World Cup final with France.
Oh, okay.
Losing finalists in both, but still deserved it. Still was top scorer across Europe. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was there. So I guess you've established your midfield. You've got Freddie on the right. You've got Perez on the left. You've got Vieira and you've got Cesc in the center. So two players left. I kind of honestly know who the two are.
You already know them. I'm just going to name it for formality's sake.
No prizes for guessing there, but
yeah, Bergkamp playing slightly behind the great man himself, Henry. So, side note, Bergkamp was the reason why I got into football. Bergkamp was the reason why I started following Arsenal. I remember in the 1998 World Cup, I was visiting Delhi for my summer holidays from Muscat, because I grew up in the Middle East, and I remember watching this guy just who was just ridiculous on the ball. That game against Argentina, where he receives the ball from Frank de Boer.
Yeah.
And in
Control.
that split second, the control to bring the ball down, to switch foot and shoot, that blew me away. I think that World Cup was the reason I realized, man, I don't know who this guy is, but I want to know more about him. And then that is where my love affair for Arsenal started. And that was the season where Arsenal, I think, went on to win the league, or they won the league, I forget. 98 was when they went on to win his first full season. They won the league, Arsenal's first full season.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get to watch Arsenal play properly until I came back to India. So by that time they'd already won 2 league titles, but I would just follow them because they were Arsenal. And I remember watching things on CNN Sport. Jo aata tha every morning. It used to come, I think, about for 30 minutes. There used to be a Premier League short recap of the games that are happening and whatnot. And I just follow Arsenal there.
So funny story.
But yeah, Bergkamp was
like you mentioned, Bergkamp was the reason I started watching Arsenal. A similar story that happened with me as well. As you know, everybody in India either a Liverpool fan or a United fan, right? And when we were in school, I remember this very clearly. It was Manchester United or nobody, because nobody else knew anybody else. It was David Beckham at that time. It was Manchester United, and that was, I think, it was when I think we were at that age when football was just gaining popularity, and everybody was a Manchester United fan at that time. So I was like,
I think everybody was a fan of United because I think in '99 when they won the treble, everyone just lost it.
Yeah, that's true.
First English club to win a treble, so.
No, so I was like, let me actually watch another team play, or at least let me watch a team before judging and see who I like. And by chance, there was an Arsenal game going on, and who caught my eye was Dennis Bergkamp. And I was like, holy shit, look at the way he controls the ball and look at the way he plays those passes. And I fell in love with the football that Arsenal were playing. And since then, it was Arsenal and nothing for me. Like, I couldn't look at anything else. I couldn't look at anybody else. I mean, any other team. And that's how my love affair for Arsenal started as well. And to be honest, one of my favorite players is Thierry Henry, but Bergkamp was the reason that I started following Arsenal. And it's just, I'm just
I think Bergkamp was. I mean, whenever he had the ball in his feet, it was just joy. You just knew that it's ridiculous how someone of that quality is playing for Arsenal. We have a similar player who unfortunately doesn't get to play as much anymore. But on Bergkamp, I think Özil is probably, I mean, not in terms of status as an Arsenal player, but just in terms of sheer
brilliance on the ball,
brilliance of the ball, skill level. I think Özil is as close to a player as Bergkamp will ever come to.
Okay.
Not in terms of ability, not in terms of his status and what he represents as a former Arsenal player.
Yeah.
And of course, up front, Henry. You can't look past him. From that goal against United with his back turned, to the comeback, to that slalom run against Liverpool at Highbury.
I think you could do a complication of, if you were to do top 10 goals, I think you could do a complication of Thierry Henry.
Of Henry. That game against Sparta Prague or Slavia Prague?
And he came back on injury.
Came back on injury to score his 200th, I think, or club record-breaking goal.
187. I think he broke Ian Rice's
187. Ian Weizsäcker, that goal, the header at the Emirates to win the game in the 91st minute against United.
That
the
goal
comeback against the goal against was it Spurs or was it who was it?
The one that he ran
it wasn't Spurs
behind the half line.
No. हाँ वो तो था ही the game that his comeback goal that he scored against Leeds, was it?
Oh, when he came back up from the MLS.
When he came back?
Leeds.
Yeah. Leeds, was it Leeds?
Henry number 12.
Henry number 12. I mean, it was, you just knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, it was written.
And it was written. Henry was also my first Arsenal jersey. I had Henry 14 on the back. My brother-in-law got me that jersey from London because he was visiting, and I insisted on getting it. And it was, I think, I was in my during my masters, or I forget when that was, but 2007, 2008. In fact, it was the first year we moved in 2006. It was the first year we moved into the Emirates. The jersey with the gold trim on the sides.
Yeah. Oh, I had the jersey as well.
Yeah, so that was my first Arsenal jersey with Henry 14 at the back. An XL. I don't know why I got an XL, but that was the size that I'd gotten. So yeah, Henry, man. I mean, you're right. You could just do top 10, top 20 goals of Henry and just not run out and be astounded by every goal that he scored.
Great. So that's your first 11. Who captains your side?
Captains, obviously, just it would be a toss-up between Vieira and Tony Adams, but Adams just for the status that he commands and just for him being Mr. Arsenal, so Tony Adams will be captain.
All right. So that was your first 11. As you mentioned
subs,
before,
I think.
5 subs.
Mean, if you wanted 5 subs, I'd go, and I don't want to get too much into detail of why, but I think they'd make a great they'd be a good complement to the 11. So I'd have Zitsky, Eduardo, Anelka, Cazorla, and very, very unpopular choice, but I think a fabulous player, a great reader of the game. I'd pick Mertesacker as a sub.
I was just going to say very attacking sub bench.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean that sort of suits the
way we play football.
The style of football. 4-4-2 is anyways an attacking lineup. But yeah, that would be my 5 on the bench.
And who manages your team for you?
Oh, there's no question.
Would I agree?
Unai. No, yeah, obviously Arsene. So yeah, that's where that would be my 16 plus 117 on a day.
Nice. That's a great lineup. I mean, it's. I can see a lot of similar players that I'm going to have within your lineup as well, and I think a lot of fans also who are going to be in the comments talking about that lineups are going to pretty much have a similar, maybe about 7-8 of the same players. But yeah, so this is your team. Have a look. Anyway, moving on. Let me tell you about my lineup.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah. So goalkeeper, again, like you mentioned it, I started watching football very late towards the end 1990s, very early 2000s. Even though David Seaman was there at that time, and he was a great keeper for us, I still have to go for Lehmann, because Lehmann was that character that you can't not have in your team. Like I still remember this video. I think he was still in the German league, and he gets. This was while a match was going on. He got behind the hoarding. He sat down, and he started taking a leak.
Pissing himself.
I remember this. He started taking a leak.
I remember this. Yeah.
And I mean, who does that? You know, like the incident that you mentioned about him and John Terry going down was ridiculous. And what comes to mind is that game when we went to Old Trafford and we last beat United 1-0 where Adebayo scored. I still remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came on and he took a shot and with his left foot, and it was destined for the far corner, and Lehmann basically, I don't know how he reached out there, but he reached it and he made that tremendous save. And Solskjaer,
wasn't
Solskjaer
that
looked,
and Solskjaer had that look in his face
yeah,
like
yeah,
how did that happen?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Solskjaer looked at Giggs and he's like, oh my god, how did he save that? You know, because it was destined to go into the net, and that was the last time we won at Old Trafford in the Premier League. So I can't go with any other keeper but Lehmann. For me, right back, um, like you mentioned, we've not had a lot of great right backs. Uh, it was a toss up between Lauren and Sanya for me, because I think Sanya was at a time when he played with some really crap players around him. Okay, but he came and he steadied the ship. Like, I remember a friend of mine going to the Emirates very early in 2006 when Sanya signed for us, or 2007 when he signed for us, and watching him at the Emirates Cup and saying that this guy is a beast, right? Like, he would run up and down for you. He was great defensively. I still remember that one goal line clearance that he had against Aston Villa. Keeper was beat, the ball was going into the back of the net, and Sanya was basically running towards the ball into the goal, and he's basically bicycled the ball outside the goal, bicycle kicked the ball outside the goal. So I still remember that. But like you said, if I had to go with anybody to war, I would take Lauren. And I still remember Lauren was that no nonsense, hard player that you wanted. And even at times when I remember Arsenal had this thing where if Henry got fouled, he wouldn't take the penalty, and Perez would take the penalty. And if Perez got fouled or anybody else got fouled, Henry would take the penalty. There were times when Lauren would step up and take penalties, and he just slot them in like it was like it was the easiest thing in the world, like no pressure.
Yeah, very nonchalant about the entire.
Yeah, just straight faced and like just too good. Like, he was outstanding.
So the funny story. I remember a good friend of ours, Regin, who we keep talking to on the group.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Sanya first signed for us. I think a couple of weeks in, we were talking, and the first thing that we said to each other was, "Man, this guy just runs and runs and runs and runs."
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I've seen anyone with that stamina at Arsenal who just keep going for it 90 minutes, week in, week out, day in, day out.
Yeah.
I mean, so that was my only piece on Sanya. But no, I agree with Lauren was a beast, absolute monster on the pitch.
He was hard as nails, and that Arsenal team with people like him, Vieira, Campbell, and all, you couldn't bully that Arsenal team. I remember us getting when we had the Fabregas and the Rosicchis and the Cazorlas, because we were a smaller team. The other teams like Stokes and these other guys, they would come and bully us, and they try to kick us off the park. But these guys, they couldn't be bullied at all. Like, they'd give it to you. They'd play great football. They were technically good. They were technically sound, and they were physical. They could mix it up. They could do anything, that team. So I have to go with Lauren. I can't look beyond Lauren. For me, right centre back, I know I'm going to probably get a lot of people telling me that how can you not pick Mr. Arsenal, and how can you not have Tony Adams? But for me, when I watch Arsenal, I can't look beyond the invincible back four that we went through. So I have to pick Kolo Toure. He's such a lovely guy. He's always smiling. He always, I remember reading that. Reading that book where they hired Kolo on trial for the first time
because he tackled Arsene.
No, not only did he tackle Arsene, he went through Henry, he went through Bergkamp, and then he tackled Arsene at the end. So it was a great story. Yeah, and so I have to have him there. My left centre back is the greatest player Tottenham have ever produced. Is Sol Campbell. Sol Campbell said that he wanted to win the league at White Hart Lane, and the very next year he won the league at White Hart Lane. So the greatest free signing you will ever get was Sol Campbell. He's probably been our best defender from the early 2000s till now. I don't think like a lot of people say we haven't replaced Vieira. I don't think we've ever managed to replace Sol Campbell. He's another massive hole in that team that we've just not been able to replace. I mean, you talk about players like Koulibaly and Upamecano, all these guys coming in, but Sol Campbell, like, he was physical, he was strong, he was fast, he had it all. Like, people would shit themselves just looking at him, So that's my centre back. Left back, I can't.
Left back.
the thing with me is that even though I hated Ashley Cole after he left and joined Chelsea, you can't look beyond the fact that he was the best left back to play in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So I still remember Silvinho was a left back.
United fans would probably fight you on that, but
United fans can say whatever they want, but I mean they probably think Luke Shaw is better than Cole, but that's all bullshit. But yeah, so I remember Silvinho was injured and he was our first choice left back, and because he had an injury, we had to throw in a very young Ashley Cole, and as soon as he played, there was no looking back. Like it was him and nobody else in that position. And I think you mentioned this also, that left hand side of Cole, Perez, Henry used to just demolish teams. That was, and considering our left side now with Kolasinac playing those cutbacks, it's just hard to watch. It's just so hard to watch.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So that's my backline. That's my keeper. I'm not playing a 4-4-2. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So
I was just thinking. Yeah.
So I'm not going to play a 4-4-2. I'm actually going. I know my team's going to be a little unbalanced, but I'm actually going to play a 4-2-2-2. So that's my formation. So the two in midfield I'm looking at Patrick Vieira definitely. I'm not going to play him. I'm not going to play him in the deep role. He's probably going to play more box to box. He's got the freedom to roam. It's an Arsene Wenger team where people can move around. Partnering him in central midfield, I know a lot of you are not going to agree with me, but for me, this guy was one of the best players we've had for the longest time. Santi Cazorla. He could play with his left foot. He could play with his right foot. I mean, he was so good with both that you didn't really know which foot he really is, right? Whether he was righty or
lefty. Do you remember that corner that Koscielny told him to just switch feet and he just casually just went and did it?
The thing is, I don't think I've seen a better ball controlling midfielder for a long time, and I'm so happy that he's fit right now. He's firing for Villarreal. He's scoring goals again, because there was a time when they told him that the injury that he had,
could never play again.
He could never play again. So, again, always smiling, always happy. I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to have Santi in our team. And so, for me, my two central midfielders are Vieira and Santi Cazorla, right? So the two in front of them have to go with Cesc Fabregas on the two in front. Yeah, he has to make the team. I remember very early when he came in, there was always signs of him having that talent, him having that eye for goal. And to be honest, I know Bergkamp and Ozil play some really, really good through balls, but I think consistently nobody did it better than Cesc Fabregas. The sort of balls that he would play, and not only that, like a lot of players that played under Wenger had a image of how do I say this? They knew 2 or 3 steps,
vision of what they wanted.
Yeah, a vision of maybe 3 or 4 steps ahead of what is already happening, right? And Cesc was one of those. He basically knew that, okay, if I'm going to play this pass, this person's already making a run. This is how I'm going to play. This is how much weight I need to put. So, fantastic player. I hated it when he left us. It crushed me because when
I think I remember Cesc's jersey with the number 4 was the last jersey I bought with the player's name at the back. Him leaving for Barcelona and the way he did it, I was a broken man. I'm not going to be honest. I was devastated.
I still remember that. I think Spain had just won the World Cup, and they were basically
Pepe Reina put on a Barca jersey on him. I remember
Pepe Reina, Carlos Puyol,
and the thing with me with Cesc was Ashwin was I saw that the baton being handed over from Vieira to Cesc,
and not only that,
the goal he scored against Juventus on our way to the final with Vieira in the Juventus lineup. He dominated that midfield that day. And just those innumerable assists that he's provided for Arsenal with multiple players. He made below average players look stunning.
And it's such a shame. There were 2 years where we were definitely the best team in the Premier League, and had Ramsey not broken his leg or Eduardo not broken his leg, we should have won the title as Fabregas captain. For me, there are 2 memories that stand out about Fabregas. Obviously, there are some with his assists, but those 2 memories are basically, I think we were trailing 1-0 to Aston Villa at home. Sesko's injured. Wenger brings Cesc on, and not only did he score the first goal, he actually, I've never seen him take a free kick, but we had a free kick at the edge of the area, and he decided to take it, and
he scored it.
We won 2-1.
Leg, apparently.
Yeah, and then he got injured immediately after that, and he had to get him off, but then he won us the game. So that was one. And the other one was when we were playing Tottenham at the Emirates, and I think Van Persie had just scored for us. And as Tottenham restarted, Fabregas stole the ball and scored from kickoff immediately. So those 2 memories always stand out for me. That's there. Partnering Cesc, I mean, it was a tough choice between Ljungberg and Perez, but I have to stick with the Frenchman. That side that Perez, that goal at Anfield that he scored. Do you remember that? Where
he cuts in and it takes a
shot from the curler, top corner.
Yeah, the curler, top corner.
That one and the Southampton goal that he scored against Southampton, where I think him and Pennant they both got hat tricks. That day we won 6-1 and they both got hat tricks. Oh, he was one of my favorite players, And I remember this. It was the final game at Highbury, and at that time there used to be a lot of there used to be a lot of blogging sites, not blogging sites, chatting sites. I don't know what it was, but Arsenal Mania was one of them, and I used to follow that a lot. And I remember them tweeting, not tweeting them. There was a topic going on saying that who would you want as the last person to score a goal at Highbury, right? And I said I'd want Perez to score, but at the same time I want Henry to score as well. I wouldn't mind either of them. And it happened. We won 4-2. Perez got 1, and Henry got the hat trick. And I was so ecstatic. It was such a sad day for me when the Champions League final, when we got sent off. I mean, we got a person sent off. Yeah, we got person sent off, and then we had to take Perez off because he was the older person, and Wenger thought the younger legs would be able to last longer. So he kept Kleb and Fabregas on, and Perez had to come off after 7 minutes or 10 minutes. And that was just the way he left the club was sad. But for me, one of the greatest midfielders to have graced the Premier League.
For sure.
Apart from Frank Lampard, I don't think anybody has hit those heights in terms of goals from midfield. I mean, you can't consider Hazard and Alexis because they're more forward players, but from midfield, there was nobody that would score so many goals. He would consistently get 20 goals a season, and that's.
No, I think Lampard was just ridiculously good, just for knowing, being at the right place at the right time and scoring those goals. Perez did those goals with more style. It was because for a very short time, but
and he loved the goal against Spurs, so
he loved the goal against Spurs, yeah. He was brilliant. Perez, amazing.
That's my midfield there, and there's no surprise. My front line, you cannot look beyond Dennis Bergkamp, and you cannot look beyond Mr. Wawa Boom, Thierry Henry. I mean, 2 of the greatest players to have played for Arsenal. They both have statues outside the Emirates. They're both ridiculously good players. And I mean, I don't even have to say it. You mentioned it, the goal against that Bergkamp goal that Bergkamp scored for against Argentina. That goal against Newcastle where and some of the things that he would do, I remember watching Henry give interviews, and he's like, listen, the goals I score is because of Dennis Bergkamp. He's like, I make the runs and he finds me, and there's no bigger compliment that a goal scorer can give to you by saying that the balls given to me are delivered perfectly, and he had that. I remember reading Bergkamp's book, and he talks about how much he as a young player, he would basically hit the ball against the wall and just control
against
it.
the wall.
Yeah, just control it. So that was Bergkamp. You can't look past him. And of course, Thierry Henry. I mean, you mentioned your first jersey was Thierry Henry's. My first jersey, I remember mine was the O2 jersey that we had, the 2004 year, and I had Henry 14 on that, and oh, what a jersey that was. I mean, what a player he was, and just again, I was sad that he went to Barcelona, but I couldn't blame him. At the time that he wanted to go, he was 29 and he wanted to win the Premier Champions League, and he knew that he would have no better opportunity to win the Champions League than to go to Barcelona. And I'm happy that he did. But you're right, like he got cheated off so many World Player of the Years, and he'd score for fun. Like I can't even tell you the amount of goals that I can think of right now, which are like world class, and the things that he did. So that's my lineup, and a little different from yours.
What about your sub? What about your subs bench?
So my subs, I'm number one. I'd have Mesut Ozil. I think no harm having a little more creativity in the team. Mm-hmm. I'd have to have Robin van Persie, even though he can call him a snake and left for Man United, but technically, I think he was the greatest player, and greatest player we ever had technically, because I remember Henry in an interview saying that the stuff that Van Persie can do with the ball, he's not seen anybody else do. And just the way he was on the ball, Van Persie was amazing. I remember that year where he was captain, where he literally dragged us to top four without anybody else, and he dragged United to the 20th title. But that was just how good a player he really was, you know. And I remember that game against Spurs where we were 2-0 down at the Emirates, and he started the comeback with that curling effort.
Yeah.
And that goal against Everton that he scored, where Alex Song played a long ball over the top and he volleyed it into the top corner. So that was Van Persie. So that's two.
That goal at Charlton away as well. Eboe's ball and then on the volley.
Wow.
Kicked it in. Yeah, that was
that
ridiculously
good goal. Ridiculous goal. So that's Van Persie. That's Mesut Ozil. I have to have Freddie Ljungberg in the team because I mentioned that it was a tough option between him and like you mentioned, Freddie was one of those guys that was overshadowed a little because there was so many good players around him. But he was Mr. Right place at the right time. He knew when to make the runs. He knew how to. I remember that goal in the FA Cup final that he scored against Chelsea, I think it was, and where he curled it around the top corner. Oh, what a goal, Freddie. So yeah, Freddie has to be there. Fourth player, it's a tough one actually. I have to go in for Koscielny. He was probably the best of the worst defenders that we've had in this last 8 to 10 year period.
That's a little harsh. I think we've had terrible defenders.
We've had best of the worst. I mean, I don't mean it in the likes of Schillaci and like things like that. I'm just saying that even though he grew as a player, like from where he came and how he became so important to Arsenal. He grew as a player. He was probably one of my favorite players till up to 2 years ago. But it's just that he had that one mistake in him. Like he was prone to that one mistake that he would always make. I still remember that game against Atletico Madrid in the semi-finals. Had he not kicked the ball into himself, it would have not gone to Griezmann. Griezmann would have not made it 1-0 and we would have not lost that game. Yeah. So, that, and then the other one that comes to mind is when we were playing Birmingham City in the Carling Cup final, and but anyway, for me, Koscielny is still a great player, right? And my last pick, I am going to go with Kanu. I know a lot of people, it's going to be an unpopular choice between a lot of people, but that man was magic on the ball. For a guy who was 6'5" or 6, tall, lanky guy, the way he controlled the ball and the way I still remember Arsenal being 2-0 down against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Kanu's come on in the 75th minute and he's bagged a hat-trick in the next 10 minutes. He starts scoring in the 81st minute and we've gone on to win the game 3-2. So, the things that they did, that whole team, like how they played for each other, that full team was just too good. So that's my 11. That's my sub bench. And
so wait, so recapping your 11, you have Lehman in goal, Lauren, Campbell, Toure, Cole, Vieira, Cesc, Perez,
yes.
Henry Bergkamp, and
Santi.
Yeah.
So a little different from yours, but yeah. And I have obviously Arsene managing that team.
Of course.
Keep that team away from Unai Emery. You probably probably convert Ashley Cole into cutback merchant.
He'll have Lauren playing as a right winger as opposed to a right back.
You probably have Thierry Henry playing as
actually might have Lauren play. He probably have Lauren playing as a holding midfielder because Lauren could be a nasty bastard if you wanted to.
Yeah. But to be honest, Lauren actually came as a midfielder. Wenger converted him to a right back.
Yeah, I know. I mean, even with Toure, he converted him into a centre half as well.
Yeah. So I mean, great. I mean, you can see that's my 11. That's Samrid's 11.
Yeah.
You guys let us know which 11 that you would prefer. You guys can also put your 11 in the comments below and let us know which 11 that you would pick. And so yeah, that's the episode for today.
Yeah, this has been fun. A little change from the regular depressing cutback FC that we've become. We'll be back to our regular programming this weekend when we're playing Monday night, I think. Away to Sheffield.
It's not going to be an easy
game. Monday night football. It won't be an easy game, but hopefully us playing the way we are will probably be softened by United getting thrashed by Liverpool.
Does Ole get the sack, or do they still keep him?
I think they'll keep him. I don't think he's going to go in. Who's going to come mid-season? Yeah, I mean, he's not going to come mid-season. But anyways, let's see. Let's just look forward to us hopefully nicking a win at Sheffield. I can't believe I just said that. And United getting absolutely rogered by Liverpool.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks, Ashwin. This has been fun. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know how you think. Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. Click the bell icon that you're seeing here on YouTube to get notified on when we upload our pods. And Ashwin and I are on Twitter as well. Follow the Arsenal Away, and yeah, we look forward to having you guys company in the next episode.
Thanks, Amrit.
Thanks, Ashwin.